I'm going to read the whole thing to you right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mike?
no.
No, I'll just make, before I hand it over, the introduction to our next wonderful workshop. And also after that, we've got another workshop with Kayleen Ledger, and she's actually going to be holding a raffle. We don't have a raffle, and she's offering 4 sessions of coaching. Is that correct? That was correct. Yeah. They at 16,000. No, sorry. The value is $600, and the tickets are only $10 a ticket. And would be a moment, a chance of a lifetime to be able to sit down with this lovely lady and have some coaching where you want to take your life. But more importantly, right now, the privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. What else is there? Why not just be yourself? Why pretend to be anyone else? And this next presenter, Nola, which I'm going to hand over to her Division Director, Stefan, to introduce you, is exactly that. Nola's only ever been herself. If you're in her path and in her line of sight, get ready for a hug. She's almost as good as me. She's learning. But I'll now hand it over to Stefan to introduce her properly, not like I just did.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm proud to introduce Rangers Division Director, our next presenter for this afternoon, Nola Sharp, a member of Lilydale Toastmasters and 2 other clubs, Wandin CFA, District 13, Charter President of Wandin Toastmasters, who joined Toastmasters in February 2006 on the invitation of Judy Murphy, DTM. She refers to Toastmasters as being a catalyst for positive adventures, experiences, achievements in her adult life. She is a self-confessed hugaholic and the queen of hugs in Toastmasters. And she thinks that awards are awesome and you feel absolutely euphoric for 10 minutes. But for me, for her, it means you go a long way and it means a lot more. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please make welcome Nola Sharp.
Anyone not clapping? No. I am not in need of any microphone, you may say. And when you're dealing with the youth of today, you do need a voice that goes right to the back of the room, because David Hughes has really important things to talk about with his friends at the back. But so I'm hoping everyone will be able to hear what I'm saying. Before I was a presenter of the Youth Leadership Program, I always refer to it as in Toastmasters Crown. So in this year of coronations, apparently there was one over in England this year, I have brought a crown, and that's symbolic of the wonderful things and wonderful times that I have had, and a little surprise and a treat for you all today. I was for 25 years a guide leader, and I knew how much fun it was dealing with the youth. They taught me so much. It wasn't the other way around, because I never was a guide as a young girl. I became a guide when I was 32, when my daughter decided that she was going to be a brownie. Those people who know what a brownie is without being rude. Yes, a few people. Not so many people around now who know what brownies are, which is a shame, I think. And I became a leader and a trainer with Guides Victoria, and I absolutely loved it. Embracing the Toastmasters International Youth Leadership Program, I have felt a comfort zone in which I have fun, say it loud, fun. Fun. Oh, you pick up so well. Okay, this team wins. You said it loud. And that's what it is. It's not an onerous task to get up at 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday and go off to youth leadership training. And who am I kidding? Because I'm 78 years of age and I love my bed and I stay there for far too long. I have, as I said, referred to the youth leadership training as the jewel in the Toastmasters crown. This is sort of representative of golden moments and being witness to and celebration of the wonderful, wonderful surprises that young people provide in our program. I would suggest that presentation night that is held after 8 weeks, there is not a better presentation night anywhere, because the children have every role that you have in your Toastmasters meetings, but they do it better. How many people can take themselves back to the year in which you turned 12? I can't do it because it's so long ago. There are people, do you remember how you felt? Do you remember how, well, in my era and Marlene's era, because I'm the oldest person here, I am the matriarch of Toastmasters. Oh, I'm sorry. What age are you?
84.
37?
87.
87, you beat me by a mile. Matriarch, I'm the matriarch. I got out of that. Tell some people. You have been informed at the age of 12 that you are going to a public speaking course, and it was starting next term with a presentation night, as I said, at the end of 8 weeks, which you would showcase the skills learned in front of family, friends and teachers. How many of you, with a show of hands, remember you're only 12, you're toilet trained, I might add, and how many of you would be challenged at that thought? How many when you were 12, saying you were going to have these strange people called Toastmasters come in and teach you? I think I would have been like that. I was a stutterer all through my schooling, and I've lost that now, thank goodness, now that I'm more than 12. Coincidentally, we have this afternoon a very important guest from Mount Lilydale Mercy College, Austin Ajou, in his second week of the Youth Leadership Program being conducted by Lilydale Toastmasters, and Deb Harrington presented his icebreaker speech. As you listen to Austin's speech, please reflect on your icebreaker speech given, and I would suggest more than 1 week after your induction in Toastmasters. I would appreciate for you all to provide feedback as a group evaluation. So you have the pad and the pen. So if anyone would like to do that for Austin, I'm going to nominate one person or maybe two to give us some recommendations and, of course, commendations. I have this afternoon, my Toastmaster friends, the absolute pleasure to introduce to you the dark, the handsome Austin Ajou with his icebreaker speech. Would you please make him welcome to this very important gathering?
Just imagine waking up every day to thickened black smoke, miserable skies, choking gas masks, and busy people who don't give a care about what their actions will do. Global warming is real, and if we don't recognize the warnings, we'll be the ones held accountable. Every single day, polar bears are struggling to find food and lose approximately 1/6 of their home every single year. With 20,000 to 50,000 spread out in the Arctic, time is running out for these marvelous creatures. The white rhino is possibly fully extinct due to immense poaching in the wild. With only 2 females left, the white rhinos are left hopeless. Another example are our loving koalas. Nearly 4,000 koalas die a year, forced out of their gum trees onto dangerous highways and roads, killed by cars and invasive species such as foxes, cats, and stray dogs, ending their poor, innocent lives. As days go by, thousands of ecosystems are vanishing. Large rivers filled with fresh waters are now left with nothing. Forests, once filled with blossoming flowers and towering trees, are constantly getting teared down. Only 6% of the earth is full of rainforests. 80.5% of the Amazon rainforest was lost due to deforestation and uncontrollable fires. The Arctic is slowly melting away. Icebergs are starting to flip, leaving no room for the animals to live and hunt off. These several types of habitats are crucially vital for the well-being of our planet. As more gases are emitted by greenhouses, gases surround our planet, warming it up even more. So you tell me, how would you feel if your house got torn down brick by brick every single day? As years go by, the global temperature rises incredibly fast. As this may not be such a big deal, thousands of animals will be extinct due to the uncontrollable heat, possibly including us, humans. Our governments should be focusing more on nature and its well-being so that we can protect and admire nature's beauty. Only when the last tree has been cut down, the last fish been caught, and the last stream been poisoned, will we realize we cannot eat money. And that's why I strongly believe we should take global warming seriously.
You note the magical words that were included in that speech. Good use of our language, which we don't always hear in our Toastmaster meetings. Did you notice the use of the pause? When Austin didn't say anything was when he said the most, because it allowed us to think about the words that he has used, such descriptive words. Now, if there is anyone that would like to put up their hand and give 2 commendations, not recommendations, 2 commendations, please. Just put your hand up and I will allow you to do that. Daryl, you've had far too much to say. And I'm going to choose somebody. Oh, well, yes, I will take your offer. Thank you, Daryl. Please don't cry because, you know, I'd be upset if you did. What?
Two commendations. The pace at which you delivered that speech was perfect. There is a natural way in which the English language turns around and has a rhythm to it. And you had that off. It was really, really good.
Thank you very much. That gentleman's language. I will let you know later. Okay, somebody else. Thank you, my newest best friend.
You are looking at new best friend. Did very well done. I thought you started very strongly with an incredibly powerful message, signposting what you're going to be talking about with global warming. And then not only did you start us off with a really good message, but you then started to deliver us incredible examples like the white rhino and the koalas. So well done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now the difficult part, to say something for a recommendation, but say it in the nicest possible way. Thank you very much, Darren.
Give me a go.
Yes, I'll give you a go.
Who's got one of these? Who uses it? Why I've got this? If you're in front of the mirror and you're sitting there looking at yourself, this is how you learn eye contact. When you become comfortable with yourself in the mirror and love yourself, when you're speaking at an audience, you're comfortable with one in which you use silence and eye contact. My recommendation, when you're cleaning your teeth, enjoy the person that's looking back at you in the mirror, and you will inspire audiences around the world.
Oh, that's not bad. General accommodations, please. Thank you. The gentleman sitting in the centre.
Yeah, well done, Austin. I thought it was an outstanding-
Austin.
I thought it was an outstanding speech. One small recommendation is finish on a powerful note. Really powerful is to have a theme and a message you start with, repeat it during the speech, and then smash it home right at the end and make that speech a winner. Well done.
Thank you so very much. One more recommendation, please. Thank you, Jack. Oh, Jackson. Okay.
Hey, Judy.
Hi everyone, I'm Jackson. Great speech, Austin, really well. For a recommendation, what you could try doing is you've got all of this space here. Try to step around and use it, and also remember your body speaks. And if you can reinforce the message with gestures and vocal variety as well, your speech will.
He's only been to one youth leadership program so far. Thank you, Jackson. Judy, you had your hand up. Thank you.
Austin, if you had any nerves, I didn't see them at all. You looked very calm in front of this tough audience at times, but they were very respectful, weren't they? My recommendation for you is in regards to one section of the content, because you were talking about global warming, but you said that the white rhinos were being decimated because of poaching. So I just don't see that the poaching is global warming. So when you're going through your contents, ask yourself the question, does this support my goal and purpose of the speech? Perhaps white rhinos environment is being decimated too. Perhaps that was the information you could put in there too. But I really enjoyed you coming up here today. Thank you.
Yeah, well done.
I got feedback from some of the best evaluators in District 73, so you need to be impressed, okay? And I want a really high commendation from, and this is the second most.
No.
Okay, come on. Oh. Mr. and Mrs. Austin.
I met Austin before.
Oh, there you
Austin
go.
and I are already on friends.
All right.
When you start speaking and you put a smile on your face, you have the audience in the palm of your hand before you've finished your first sentence. And Austin has this beautiful natural smile that just when he let it go, when he made eye contact with someone in the room and started to smile, it just lifted you up. So I would really encourage you, Austin, smile more. Smile as you are talking, you will have them eating out of the palm of your hand.
What a to have eating out of your hand, may I say, Austin. I'm so appreciative you coming today. Thank you so very much. You may join your mum. I would like to publicly thank, because this is sort of a public space here that we have, Austin's mum, who has driven him all the way from the Yarra Valley today, just for that few minutes, because she's the sort of mum who wants success for her son, I would suggest, and that is why he's enrolled and is a leader at Mount Lilydale Mercy College. Thank you so very much, Smita.
Yeah.
Would you like to say that? We have among us many Toastmasters who have experienced the joy of being involved in the youth leadership program, and they bring with them ways of presenting the program using the Toastmasters International booklet, which looks like, if this is the right one.
That's right.
The Youth Leadership Program. This is the book. Daryl's just brought it to me. If you have this in your cupboards and at home, you may put it in the rubbish bin. It is called, no, I am very serious. It's called the Coordinator's Guide. And it has no relative information. It is not user-friendly. And I don't want you handing this out to anybody. Oh, my friends are really embarrassed sitting over there because they know I tell it as it is. But Toastmasters International have got a youth leadership booklet. And I didn't bring mine because they said I've got lots of them. But this is called the Coordinator's Guide, so you may have a bonfire with those when you go home, okay? Because the Toastmasters International must have seen the light, like Marlene's speech today. They saw the light and thought, well, we're going to include in this booklet some of the things that Lilydale Toastmasters did when they created a youth leadership booklet for the schools that they were going to many years ago. Therefore, how the youth leadership program is presented varies. As with teachers, they've got a curriculum, but how they apply that curriculum is entirely up to the individual. And we don't have scripts as such, but it's a way of presenting. And I do it a bit differently. And I can only share with you the things that I like to include in the first session. One of the things that I don't do is I don't allow any student to be up at the lectern on their own. We're talking first session. They come up as groups, they choose their own friends. We have what I call is the hamburger analogy of what a speech is. The sesame seeds on the top of the buns is the title. The two buns are the opening and the
Conclusions.
good girls, conclusions. And in the middle, there are three components. Because if you say to the students in your icebreaker speech, I'd like you to tell us about yourself, and they give you a shopping list like, I was born on the 23rd of August, 1944. I went to the Wandon Primary School and I've got a brother and I've got a mother and father and my father is a farmer. The only information that anyone is going to retain out of all of that is maybe the last thing you said, which is my father
Is a farmer.
is a farmer. Because shopping lists do not a speech make. You need to have, as I say to the children, a wow opening. If they're going to talk about their dog, as we had at Lilydale, there was one student that described the fact that she had a dog and prancing down my garden, my green lawn at home was Misty. How much more interesting is it than I have a dog, his name is Misty? And this is what we are trying to do, because I listen to young people that are speaking now and they don't have a language. They have grunts, and that's what they do. We don't have descriptive language now. I used to have my parents and my relations sit around on a Sunday afternoon and there would be conversations. Unless you're a girl, I don't know that you men know what conversations are. Would somebody like to challenge me on that? Thank you.
Men are worse gossips than women.
What did he say?
Men are worse gossips than women.
They are gossips, but that's different to conversation, right? My husband had a stroke 5 years ago and he goes to a boys' morning tea, Thursday morning from 9 until 11, or they run out of conversations. They talk about their health, they talk about sex in old age, and that's very, well, it is conversation. And it's important. Our friend Brett Kenny over here was talking about separate bedrooms as you get older and sex. And the two of them sort of go together in a way. And if you hear Brett telling the story, it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm talking about conversations. I want every child that comes to a youth leadership program to have language that is used well and conversations in which we learn something and we share something about the person that is inside us. Because I don't always walk around with a flower on my lapel and stockings and high heels. But that outward appearance that so many people put forward is just, it's not a sham. It's just us being programmed, I think, into a way of being instead of the true souls that we are. Our youth leadership, I would suggest, needs 20 to 25 people. If you have any more, you can't involve everybody and they don't have enough opportunity to speak. The first session that I have, thankfully, I get 2 hours. Some schools have come to us and said, we can only give you an hour. Can I tell you, an hour to teach children everything about public speaking? Not quite enough, especially when you've got 20. But it's the schools, or some of them, that try and dictate it to us how we're going to present and how long we've got. So what we do is they recognise their voice and their stance in the round robin. That's the first thing we do. Do you know how hard it is for children to stand with their hands out of their pockets and just be, and stand up straight with their shoulders back and say their name? And it may very well be the first time they've actually listened to their voice. I heard a recording of my voice the first time I had a speech recorded. I was terrified out of my mind. I said, I don't sound like that, but the proof was in the pudding, as they say. And when you ask a question in the round robin, you ask a positive question. I was at one youth leadership program and the coordinator asked, what is it that you don't do well? Thumbs down, thumbs down. Tell me what you do really well. I'm suggesting is a better question. Shaking hands with the opposite sex. Oh, my Lord. Do we have some moments there? If you've never seen it, you want to entertain yourself, please do that. When you were 11. Boys, when you were 11, the thought of shaking a girl's hand at school, was that something you look forward to? Absolutely you did not. And if you are saying, yes, I did, you're probably lying just a little bit, but that's all right. Then we use the analogy of the hamburger. And we don't have any of the children evaluating the speeches until the 3rd week, because we do a very small introduction to evaluation, and the Toastmaster evaluates a speech that is being presented by one of the helpers at the first session. We had Joy Hart. Put your hand up, Joy. Okay. She's a member of my Lilydale Toastmasters Club, and she told this fabulous story of going as a volunteer to Cambodia. And you've got to make sure that the speech that is given is appropriate to 11-year-olds. And there is a difference between giving a speech up here today, for instance, and holding the attention of children that are only 11. No one is asked to come to the lectern on their own, and I've mentioned that already. And that is because the timid and the shy are buoyed by the confident and the people who think that they can do things well. And like Austin, if he thinks he can do well, he does well. And that was demonstrated today. I am so grateful that Austin came today, because I rave on a fair bit about how wonderful the children are. But until you see that confidence and that language and the way of being, you can't appreciate the youth leadership program. Role descriptions are in the booklet that you can get from Nola Sharp or Toastmasters International. And we give out slips after we've gone through the different roles and what they mean, because they don't know what a table topics master does, no idea what a heart master does, and or a grammarian, they might pick up on that. But it's amazing how many people you get that put their names down to be Toastmaster or a table topics master that you would never have asked in a million years, because they're not the confident children. They are not, and they can fill out those slips at any time. So when you're putting your agenda together, you have got children that want to do the role that they have put on their slips of paper. It makes sense, does it not?
Yes,
It makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Very much. Good. If anyone's asleep, I'll have to talk louder so that I can wake you up. The rest of the students write speeches and have verbal, before they do a written evaluation, the students give a verbal evaluation. And they're so good at picking up what people do well. I invited a friend along to a Toastmasters club, and she decided not to. Oh, how much have I got? 5 minutes, 2 minutes. I'm out of here. I'll just see if there's anything else that's worth sharing with you. I suggest that somebody sits with the timer, please, because kids get very confused. School booklets are printed by the school at their cost. And I have a little closing quote. Plan for the future and our future leaders, because that is where you are going to spend the rest of your life. I thank you for your attention. Oh, you were just waving to me, Darren.
I've been waiting a while. Kayleen is our workshop. Next, I'm going to hand it over straight away to our introduction master, because we're division directors. We don't get the opportunity to be involved sometimes, so I'm trying to involve us all as best I can. Welcome, Kiri.
The Toastmasters. Kayleen joined in Toastmasters in the year 2003 to overcome the fear of public speaking, which was holding her back from applying for promotions at work. However, through Toastmasters, Kayleen was able to secure her promotions and move into leadership roles in the Australian Public Services and in Toastmasters too. Kayleen Toastmasters achievements include Division Governor of the Year, then Distinguished District 70 Governor, then District 70 Evaluation Champion, and not one time, 3 times Distinguished Toastmaster has achieved. Kayleen is the first and the only member in District 73 to be appointed as the regional advisor. The Toastmasters, currently Kayleen is a Vice President of Berwick Toastmasters Club, and please join me in welcoming Kayleen Ledger, DTM Kayleen Ledger, past regional advisor and 3-time distinguished Toastmaster.
That's all right. I was remembering coming to this conference, 2011. I was on the stage at the District 70 Gala dinner. I was district governor. And I stood on stage and I gave a presentation. I was actually awarding somebody that was a mental health advocate an award. And during that presentation, I said a sentence. I wake up every morning and I battle my mental health challenge. Da, 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 so proud, continue the presentation. It wasn't until I walked off the stage that I realised the power we have when we share our stories, the impact it can have on another person. For the rest of the evening and the rest of the conference the next day, I had member after member after member coming and telling me how it impacted them. And it was all different, but it really humbled me at that time and made me start to share my mental health story. I am thrilled that Kevin trusted me enough to ask me to be here today to talk about stories and how we can share and publish our stories. During this session, we may get a PowerPoint up. If not, I'm just going to do it from memory. I'm going to focus on obviously sharing and publishing your story. That is the main crux of what we're going to talk about. I am then going to get you started on planning a story that you're going to share or you're going to publish. But I'm going to start off by talking about stories. And I believe we have a lifetime of stories within us. We have stories from when we were children. We just had an example of a child sharing his story. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Austin. We've got our childhood, we've got our high school, we've got so many experiences that we've had in our lives that are maybe not interesting to me. Well, I remember I thought my stories were boring until my friend Rebecca said, it's only boring to you because you keep living it. It's new to everybody else, so share it with everybody else. Overcoming adversity, things that you're excited about. We have so many stories within us. But you may also be a bit like me, and you kind of forget all these fabulous stories that you've had and all these fabulous life experiences as we start to mature. So one strategy that I think we can all start today is we can start capturing our stories. You've got a notepad, you've got a journal. Thank you again, Kevin and the conference committee for gifting us with that journal. In that journal, you can start capturing any time something happens and you think, oh, that was awesome. Boom, 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 boom. Oh my gosh, that was a bit overwhelming. It was a bit stressful. Oh, I will learn, I will appreciate it in 10 years' time. Jot it down in your journal. If you're like me, I actually do it on my smartphone in the notes function. And the beauty, I don't even have to type, I just have to press record, blah, 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 blah. And the notes are there. You want to capture enough information, comes time to pull that story out, to share it in one of your presentations, you can easily remember everything. Some things that I think about including there are the circumstances, the characters, what led up to the change, that aha moment, that turning point, and obviously what happened since there, what your learnings were. So capture that in like a learning story file. Thank you. And a story file so that you can remember. See, aren't they awesome slides that you all missed out on? Okay. So that you can remember these stories later on. So we're talking about sharing our stories. So why? Why do we want to share our stories? My book mentor said to me that even when I thought my story wasn't something worth sharing, she said, but there's somebody in the world that hasn't even got to where you are at this point. There's somebody that hasn't even reached that point. So it is of value to somebody out there in the world. So being able to inspire other people, 100%. What I didn't realise when I first did my 2 books, and even with that talking about mental health and sharing that story now, I didn't realise the personal journey that I would go on. the healing that I went through, even writing my book on speaking, it's not like worse than death. That in itself was a healing process. Being vulnerable, to put yourself out there, it's like, who am I to write a book? Well, we all can, but I didn't think at the time. So that working through that process of self-doubt as well. The bottom point was originally why I put my hand up to do a book as well about supporting my business. I had recently retired from the public service and decided I wanted to start my own coaching business. And so how am I going to do that? My book mentor said, write a book, that becomes your business card on steroid and it helps build credibility. So that's why I went down that path. So that might be a reason why you want to share your story. So I want to go into the share and publish your story so that we can get to the activity. 3 parts for this. I'm going to look at how we can share it on social media. And I know Darryl mentioned some of this earlier about recording photo books and also how to publish a book as well. So social media, that is the easiest way for all of us Toastmasters to share our stories beyond the club. All you need to do is set up a camera. It doesn't even have to be fancy like the camera here that we're using. Set up a camera and record yourself at the next meeting. And then it's as simple as loading it on to whatever platform you have. Done, you have shared your story beyond your Toastmaster Club. The next one, I have created photo books for years, mainly because of the Toastmaster conventions where I met the wonderful Judy, conferences, my holidays. I was always coming home and creating photo books. It wasn't until my father passed away that I realised I could have made those books so much more valuable. I could have included the stories behind the photos, the stories behind the trips. So I did create a tribute for my dad, and I included the story of his life in a photo book with all the photos, and also for my grandmother, who's on screen. But I recommend, don't wait until they're gone. Start writing photo books now. Capture these events and don't just put the photos in, add a story. Put your messages in there so that you can capture it. I use Snapfish, but there's heaps of other ways that you can do photo books online as well. Now, the final one, which was one of the reasons why we were going to do this, was about being able to publish your book. So with publishing your book, you do want to identify a story that you want to be able to put out in a book. Now, there are some Toastmasters, like past international president Ted Corcoran, who has a book of heaps of little stories, all related to leadership, but there are lots of mini stories, and you might choose to do something like that. Or you will select a story that you want to share. For me, it was overcoming my fear of speaking, and how to speak confident was all the chapters and lessons in that book. You want to, once you've got that idea, you want to brainstorm all the different content on paper, on Post-it notes. You just want to get that big brain dump of all the content. Once you are putting that content out there, you then start to identify themes. And that's where you want to chunk it together. Those themes will become your chapters in your book. The next bit, once we've got our chapters, what do we do when we are thinking about a speech? We decide how we're going to structure our information. We decide on a structure to be able to present it in a way that it's easy and friendly for the audience. You do the same. If you're writing a book, you do the same. You've got to map out, structure your chapter. I know I'm making it sound easy, but guess what? As Toastmasters, I think it is easy. When I did my first book, or the first 2 books, I did it as though I was doing a speech. I recorded, I had a map of content and I recorded, I went blah, 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 recorded, and then got it transcribed. If you want to do it like my brother, he typed it out. Don't have the patience or the time, but if you want, John did, you can type it out. It's really a preference to which works for you. But I think as Toastmasters, you were giving speeches at meetings regularly, record it. And if you don't have a speech opportunity, stand at home, record it, and then get it transcribed. Then you just have to edit it afterwards. The other parts of a manuscript, you do want to look at testimonials. I think David's left, David Hughes, who was here. He's in my book as my first testimonial. So because it was for business, I put testimonials in. You will want a section on about the author. They want to know who you are. You may have a forward and a back chapter in your book. You might ask somebody to do the forward for your book. So I've been asked to do that for one of my fellow authors for her emotions book. The blurb at the back is something else you would include in your manuscript. And finally, if it is for business, you might want to put some promotions in there. I would recommend a free promotion, something that people don't have to pay for, so that you get them on your mailing list. And then you might have a speaker's bio or whatever you do in your program. If you are doing it for your business, that freebie, that free offer, put that towards the front of the book. The reason being is when they, Amazon and different places like that, they'll allow people to have a little snippet of your book. The freebie shows in there. They may not buy your book, but they'll sign up for your offer and you've got them on the mailing list. All right, so now we're going to get started. In this section, we're going to first have an activity where we're going to get you to look at all the stories in your life and then select one. Then we're going to move on to actually taking that story and creating an outline. And you all have your little journals in front of you so that you can actually start using it. And then finally, we'll look at the next steps. And I'm going to, it's his first conference and he's my younger brother. Well, I'm the eldest, so they're both my younger brothers. I am going to invite my brother forward to do the first short visualization activity so that we can create our story. So please welcome John.
Thank you, Kayla. I want everyone to close your eyes. Just take a couple of deep breaths. It's in and out, allowing yourself to relax, find peace, find calm within. You see a door in front of you. You open the door and you walk through the door into your own personal library of all your stories for your whole life. Take a moment to look around your library and allow all those stories to pass before you. One of those stories is going to jump out at you. You'll know which one it is. It'll be the most prominent story of your life. You're going to grasp that story. You're going to let the feeling of that story flow over you. Experience it. Feel it. Live it. With that story in your hand, I want you to hold it close. As you return to the door, and you walk through that door, bringing it back with you to the room. Just take another couple of deep breaths, grounding that story within you.
And when you're ready, open your eyes.
Thank you. Thank you, John. I just couldn't, miss the opportunity. This is part of our story. My first conference with my brother, my first time sharing the stage with my brother. We will talk about that in future. Again, thank you. So now we've all had that opportunity to connect with a story that we are going to either share or publish. Now, who here is thinking they want to share their story on social media as a recording or maybe a post? Fantastic. What you're going to do is you're going to, in your notebook, make some notes about the purpose, the target of what your story is, and then start mapping out the key points around that story. And if you've got time, flesh it out a bit more. Okay, so you're really focusing on the story itself. Who's thinking of maybe a photo book? Fantastic. You're going to do exactly what I just said for the social media. But what I want you to think about as well is what type of photos you would put with that story. What type of photos will you put with that story? Now, I'm assuming everybody else that didn't put your hand up, you are taking the challenge, and that makes me so excited that you are taking the challenge to work on a book. And what I want you to do for working on a book is I want you to spend some time, once you've got that purpose of your book mapped out in your head, just start brainstorming all the different bits of content that you might include in your book. If you notice themes, identify them as you go ahead. You'll probably only get time to do that because we've only got 5 minutes for this activity. So everybody online, you too, can start doing this activity, whichever one you choose. So I'm going to give you minutes to work on whichever story you're going to share or publish. If you do need assistance, raise your hand and myself or John will come and see you. Thanks. one more minute. All right. Thank you. When I thought I would do that activity, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have nobody that's actually going to take time to actually write. It was brilliant to actually see so many heads down actually participating in that activity. So thank you for doing so. What I'd like you to do now in pairs is I'd like you to each 30 seconds share with the person what your story is and how you're going to share or publish it. So we've got another minute, but 30 seconds each, do you agree? And then whoever puts their hand up. So, yeah. Condense it. Those people on chat on Zoom, you might want to put it in chat and share with everybody on Zoom as well. That way they can see.
Okay. Okay. I'll look at
All right, let's all come back to the front. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad you've already started sharing. You know, part of this is by sharing and telling people this is what we're going to do, we're going to be more likely to follow through with what we're making that commitment to today. So thank you. Now, there were some people that were going to share their story on social media. Who's going to be the first person to jump up and share with all of us what their story is about?
I'm happy to, even before someone else was saying.
Yeah, yep. Oh, I thought you were photo book. Yep. Just stand there, it'll be fine, and project that way. So just a really snippet of what your story is about.
I want to write a story about Leave the Day. In my uni about 10 years ago, I had a conversation with my housemate at that time near the window of the library, and I asked her, what do you want to do if you just have 1 minute to live? I can't remember exactly what she said, but I remember my response at that moment. I said, I want to see the world I'm living in. So that was the start of me wanting to explore the world, and I carried out what I wanted. So I never regret every moment, but now I realize that was the start. And that message not only lead me for the past 10 years, but also guiding me through starting, whenever I have difficulties, whenever I have some emotional damage, I think about that message, what do I want to do? That also helped me to heal. And when I face the death of family members, how to carry on and how to live every day fully and most beautiful possible day.
Thank you. Well done. Thank you. And now, photo books. Who's following photo books? Please stand and share.
Apologies, my back.
Please sit. You can, oh no, yeah, that's, I don't mind.
I am from a very large family and we have these family reunions, regular family reunions on both mum and dad's side. And I've got all of the photos. We take the group photo every year with, flatbed truck. We fill a flatbed truck. And most of the people, I don't know their names, and I want to start putting those together, as well as some of those family photos we have from my really fond memories of Uncle Emmett and the talent shows that we had, and just family stuff. And then I expanded on that just as with like brainstorming basically, and went, I can make that actually available next March when we have the next big Russell one for each of the members of my grandfather's siblings, and he's one of 11, for them to do something similar. And we will have this family story of we all know what came before, but what's come after, and it's got me really excited.
Oh, thank you. Oh, wow. That's absolutely brilliant. You're starting and you're going to spread the word. Fantastic. Thank you. All right. There were a lot of you. Who is brave enough to share the book that you are... I didn't even get to finish, but you're so keen. Please stand and share your book.
My book will encompass one thing, and that thing is, it's the only life experience you'll ever need. Essentially, the only life experience you'll ever need is your own life experience. Everyone's life experience is unique. For all I care, you could be a world traveller. You could have seen many different things or many different places, or you could have been behind bars for more than 30 years. Regardless of what you've experienced, everyone's experience is unique. Take it, embrace it, and put it out there.
Thank you. Well done. And make it happen.
Make it happen.
Make it happen. You've all spent some time here mapping out a story for social media or for a photo book, all to become a published author. You can do it, whichever one you're going down. For those that are looking at the published author, I do recommend a publisher. I did have the photo of my gorgeous publisher up before, Natasha Denman. She is on the flyer if you're ready to start now with that. But definitely you've started today, you've planted the seed, make it happen. And when you do, share, celebrate on social media so we know what you are doing. So the next steps, I want you to continue to complete the planning. So when I work with clients on this, I might go through 3, 4, 5 sessions before they even start transcribing their story, because we're trying to pull all the framework and everything together. Invest time in doing that first, then follow the steps. Now, you will all get a copy of the slide deck of this session, so you'll have the steps on the slide deck if you didn't take notes. The other thing I'm offering is a mentoring session. If you want to take this further, reach out to me and you'll have a complimentary mentoring session. The first 10 people, I'll give the ebook for my Speaking It's Not Worse Than Death, but all of you will get a copy of the Unlock Your Story chapter, where I reference the world-class speaking coaching story model as well in that. And that's how you contact me. But for everybody here, it's on the flyer. For those on Zoom, I will let the Zoom master know. I've got a PDF so that it can be shared with you, the little flyer there as well. I would now like to hand back. Minutes over, and I thought I was going to take 5. Fabulous. Hand back to the fabulous Daryl. Thank you.
Wow. Who enjoyed that? Can I have a round of hand for Kayleen, please? Well, we're only half an hour away from the annual conference, but one thing you may or may not feel, who can feel the energy that's in the room? Who's ever actually physically felt that? Not just have you, before we break off, who's done Tai Chi or Qigong? Both? Try, if you've never experienced what the energy is when you do study these practices of calming the mind and relaxing and putting you in a nice place, I want you to stand for a moment and try this exercise that you can do to wake up your mind and your body in the mornings. And it's a really simple thing. If you don't believe me, you will in about 2 minutes, and then we'll break off. Something to say there, Neptune? Good. So first of all, just tapping on your chest. You can tell no one's got a microphone on. Tapping on the chest. And now on the arms in here, quite firmly. Don't hurt yourself, but quite firmly. Everyone with me there? And then down the arms and the inner arm. Now you can give yourself a bit of a whack. Yeah, that's good. Good. We'll do that a couple of times. And again, give it a whack. You're going to wake up. It's waking up all the meridian lines in your body. You know that? Now back to here. And guess where we're going next? The other side. Ah, he's a clever. And then down the arms again. Down the arms. Give it a whack. Wake up your body. Oh, we got those. Yes, no worries. Stand there. One more time, the arms. Now just relax. Tell me if you've got tingles in your hands. Yeah. So that's all the energy that we don't actually see that surrounds us. So if you're feeling a bit drab in the mornings, give yourself a slap up and wake yourself up. I hand it back to Sue because she's got some things to do. Huh? To me. I'll eat. Nola and Kayleen, these are yours. I believe, Kayleen, you say you're diabetic? Oh, I got to take your photo. Did you say you're diabetic before?
I am.
We have to share them with you.
However, I have a partner in crime today, so there you go. And he drove me here.
And he drove you there? Yeah, there you go. Oh, I want to get a photo. There we go.
Getting a photo.
Judy's the delegated.
Thank you.
And we got one more.
Oh, Nola, you always lose.
Good. You're supposed to say, in the old
Oh,
days,
that's
apparently, one of the trivia questions last night was what you say when you smile. Is it cheese or prunes?
Prunes.
Be prunes. So say prunes. Prunes. And now say cheese. Cheese. I remembered this time. And who else? Oh, Janine, you're not getting them. I'd like to welcome this little box of favourites for you. Do you want to come up? They could have all come together.
fantastic.
Made sure it all.
Is that for winning trivia last night?
No,
It was just glorious.
I would have won, but I didn't know I weren't clicking on the submit. So I got your 10 questions start. I still climbed up to off the bottom anyway. That's all. We got the, anything else? Have I forgotten anything? Nothing?
Where do we go for DCN?
Right here.
Oh, in here.
Have a break. We've got to set up tables and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm being told over here. And that's it. Grab tea, coffee and come back and relax.